What's up, everybody? I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and welcome to another lesson on the right mindset. Today, we're going to go over unmasking Mary Sue's and Gary Stu's crafting balanced characters. Again, just for anyone, I'm crazy. Unmasking Mary Sue's and Gary Stu's crafting balanced characters. All right. So, things that we'll go over is, the idea, the enigmatic Mary Sue's and Gary Sue's. What are they? We're gonna learn what they are. What do these terms mean, and why they weaken the fabric of our storytelling? We'll also go over traits that define these kind of characters and discover how to transform them into multi-dimensional and complete individuals, because that's what we do here. And we'll also go over 3 insightful techniques to bolster your character's depth and relevance, and watch your narrative flourish. All right, let's get to it. Let's make it happen. Hit that intro. We'll be right back. Woo! So yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. One thing before we really get in, I just want to say I'm recording this on 9/23 of 2023, and this video went up on 10/10 2023. I like to record batches and way before, but I'm excited. I kind of want to give whoever watches this episode a little heads up. Today, I've hit 816 subscribers. This month alone, September, I've got 135 subscribers in 23 days with over 300 watch hours. And that's my love to you for such dedication and intrigue. Just the support alone has ultimately helped and motivated me and kept me going, believing that these lessons are helping or somewhat get the people thinking and do something. And for that, I am grateful for the love. I can't wait to hit 1,000 and do a celebratory video for that because we're doing it as a team. You, the audience, me, the teacher, and I am humbled and grateful for that. That magic. All right. So let's get right to it. What is Mary Sue and a Gary Stew? Well, let's talk about it. So, just so you know, the concept of Mary Sue's and Gary Sue's are basically those seemingly perfect characters that often find their ways into our stories. And while they might initially appear strong, it's important to recognize the value of balanced character development, because understanding the pitfalls of these character types and how to transform them into more compelling figures can significantly enhance your storytelling process. Now, I do want to say, strong character doesn't mean tough and will beat everybody and is the most talented and skilled person. Superman having his powers isn't what makes him strong. It's the emotional truth inside him. But if you want to go a little bit more to what the foundation of strength is, perseverance, overcoming your faults, learning, growing, not being perfect. Realizing that there's some growth and learning that needs to happen for the character. But that doesn't mean a character can't be the best, a sharpshooter. It doesn't mean they can't be undefeatable, or it doesn't mean you can't make a character never lose a fight, because that fight might not be the thing that really challenges their strength. Their strength might be teamwork. Their weakness might be teamwork. Their fault might be the ability to connect to people and that they want to. Their weakness might be emotional struggles. Their weakness might be they lost all their money and they have to find a way to survive in a different lifestyle. But they're still the greatest fighter in the world, and they have never lost a match. Because if somebody is great at something and perfect at something, as long as they have elements of fault, you're going to have an interesting character. The Gary Stu, Mary Sue element usually comes when there are no flaws and stuff like that. So with that, I'm going to kind of go a little bit more in depth with this. So here goes. The terms Mary Sue and Gary Sue, well, are let's learn a little bit about their origins of these concepts and define the characteristics that set them apart. So to gain a clear understanding of what makes a character fall into these categories and why they tend to evoke mixed reaction from readers, or even viewers if you're looking at a movie or a television show, you have to be able to identify the traits that contribute to a Mary Sue or Gary Stu. You'll be able to equip yourself in a way that allows you to adjust those things. So here is what Mary Sue and Gary Stu is. Origin and evolution. The roots of Mary Sue and Gary Sue trace back to the world of fan fiction, originating from a parody of unrealistic and idolized self-insert characters. The term has since expanded to encompass characters beyond fan fiction. Similarly, Gary Stu is the male counterpart, sharing the traits of perfection, lack of flaws, and often excessive competence. Because you want your characters to be competent, but sometimes it's okay to be incompetent in some areas. But you also don't want them to be completely incompetent. There's a nice balance area. Defining traits of a Mary Sue and a Gary Sue, these characters possess an array of exaggerated strengths and skills, often bordering on the impulsive. Impossible. I don't have my glasses on. Where are they? They might be exceptionally beautiful. Maybe they possess an abundance of talents and they effortlessly win with the admiration of other characters. Their lack of substantial flaws and struggles can hinder readers from connecting with them on a deeper level. Because remember, emotionally, if we're watching a character fly through everything without any resistance, without being challenged, their positions aren't challenged, their capabilities aren't challenged, how can we relate to that? That's why a lot of people say Superman's a difficult character to relate to because, what can really stop him, right? But, Wolverine, who's basically immortal and has healing factor and can't be killed, we relate with him because he has flaws, he has struggles, he's suffering from things, he has love, he has loss. And I'm not even just talking about the movie, I'm talking about the comics too. His connection to Jean Grey, his connection to all his people that help him, like Jubilee, one of his first, or Shadowcat. He has a strong mentor element to him, but at the same time he's very standoffish, so that's interesting. You have those mix of things. So just because he's immortal and heals doesn't mean he doesn't have flaws. And those are the things we connect to. The emotional struggle, like I say to a lot of people that I work with, just even with your marketing or you're dealing with real life or even the stories you write, the truth is people connect to the trials and tribulations of the arc, of the adventure, of the character, of your journey, and then how you overcome that or what it takes to overcome that. So with that said, mixed readers will react. The concept of Mary Sue and Gary Stu can be polarizing. On one hand, readers might be drawn to their seemingly limitless capabilities and the escapism appeal they offer. On the other hand, these characters can evoke skepticism and detachment due to their lack of authenticity and relatability. Striking a balance is essential to creating and crafting characters that resonate with a diverse audience. And the danger of detachment really is ultimately the allure of a Mary Sue and Gary Sue lies in their apparent perfection, right? But, however, this can lead to a disconnection between readers and the characters. If the characters face little adversity or growth, the emotional investment of the audience diminishes. Stories thrive on conflict and transformation, and characters need room to evolve to maintain engagement. We need to see characters grow. If they're just this through the entire story, is the story just pretty? Like, oh, don't get me wrong, I'll watch Transformers 1,000 times because I like watching transforming robots from outer space. There isn't a lot of character growth and stuff like that. Um, but that's neither here nor there with the skill level, or Shawshank Redemption is a powerful story, not because he escapes. It's because of the struggle that leads to the escape. It's his journey to the escape. Among other things, by the writing, the acting, but we're talking about novels. But still, as a character study, putting that on page, think about that. So you want to equip yourself as a writer, and you do that by understanding the terms that empower you to navigate character creation thoughtfully. Recognizing the traits that categorize a character as a Mary Sue or a Gary Stu will help you avoid these pitfalls of making an impossible to beat or impossible to affect character. And ultimately, you'll be able to create relatable, multidimensional characters that require a delicate balance of strengths and weaknesses. They have growth through challenges, because you want to challenge positions and challenge the capability, and a genuine emotional connection between the character and the audience. So, Tom, why does it weaken a story? Well, let me tell you why it weakens a story. Mary Sue's and Gary Stu's are character archetypes that, well, initially have a strong appeal because, look how powerful they are. They can ultimately weaken the fabric of a story due to several key reasons. I will say this right off the bat, though. If you're looking at a character that starts off the story in their ordinary world, um, you can absolutely show them being amazing and without issue. They're just flying through a situation because that's where they're capable. Uh, However, if you think of True Lies, okay, spoiler alert. Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, it's just easy to go with movies because it's just has a very straightforward narrative. With True Lies, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, we first see him basically out and about. He's breaking in to this facility, which is like a big house, and there's like a party, a gathering, and Tom Arnold's in the truck, and he's doing what he does. And Arnold Schwarzenegger he's swimming, he breaks through the thing, no problem. He comes up, he takes off the thing, he's in a suit, he easily walks past people, he easily makes his way into it. He says hi to a couple people, he goes upstairs, he easily gets the stuff in. Right. But then what they do is they put him in a situation where they challenge that. He got in easily, but let's make it difficult to get out. Right. So even though in his ordinary world, they show that he's extremely capable and has a lot of strengths, they still challenge those things. And he almost gets caught. He almost, like a lot of crazy stuff happens. Obviously, it's the ordinary world. But so it's good to, even if you're going to show them being amazing, you still want to show them have some flaws. You know what I'm saying? But here are six things. So the first one is lack of conflict and tension. The Mary Sue, Gary Stu element often excel at everything they do, leaving little room or genuine conflict or challenges. And their seemingly flawless abilities and traits undermine the tension and stakes of the story. Without obstacles to overcome, the story loses the dynamic struggle that keeps readers engaged and invested. A character who easily surmounts all obstacles can lead to a lack of emotional investment and a sense of predictability, robbing the story of excitement. I mean, like, we know the hero, the protagonist, is going to win in their story. Sometimes they lose, but they still win morally. Like, they learn something. Uno momento. Gracias. Um, So we know the protagonist is going to win. And again, they might lose, but they win morally. They learn a lesson, right? However, it's them struggling and them being challenged throughout the story that makes us interested in their journey, because we know they're going to win. That's the predictable part. But if they had no struggles, then it's just like, what am I watching? Or what am I reading? Or what am I experiencing? What am I listening to? Nothing's happening. They're just doing a whole bunch of stuff, but nothing is really happening. We're not seeing anything of note. And that's why that lack of conflict and tension will create a disconnect from the characters and the experience. Number two, oh yeah. So it diminished emotional resonance. All right. So characters who are too perfect and lack relatable flaws can feel distant and unrelatable to readers. Imperfections and vulnerabilities are what make characters relatable and three-dimensional. Readers will more often than not connect with characters who face adversity and growth through struggles, specifically their struggles. And when a character's journey lacks depth and growth, readers are less likely to form emotional connections, resulting in a weaker emotional impact. Remember, you want readers to emotionally connect to your characters, not because you know their story. Remember, you have the bias as a writer. You already know how awesome that character is. You know how awesome their journey is going to be. You know how awesome their history is. You are emotionally connected to that character because you've been walking around with them probably for years, if not months before, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a relationship with these characters. Readers don't. So when you make them do things because you're like, well, they're my character, they're not gonna. There's no, like, why am I gonna make them have troubles? I want to show them being awesome. But the reason they're awesome is because of what it took to get there, or what it takes to overcome something. That's what makes them awesome. But if there's nothing to overcome, it diminishes the emotional resonance. So, unrealistic and unbelievable. Number 3. Mary Susan Gary Stus often possess an array of talents and qualities that stretch believability. When a character is too skilled, intelligent, or attractive without sufficient explanation, it can break the reader's suspension of disbelief. Readers are more likely to connect with characters who face challenges. I keep saying that a lot, because you have to challenge characters' positions and capabilities. All right. And like I'm saying, readers are more likely to connect with characters who face those challenges and work hard to achieve their goals, as this often mirrors real life experiences and resonates with human struggles. Now, clearly, you're not going to experience what Brandon Sanderson characters in The Way of Kings, like Dalinar. You're not going to experience what Dalinar is going through in that world. But the emotions that character's working through, the resistance of relationships, the weight of their soldiers and their people's lives at stake. And let's turn that around. Maybe it's their success, their journeys. You carry the weight of your friends, family, and loved ones on your shoulders. Those are relatable. But again, if they don't have those, and they're just like, well, I'm perfect, and I will save all my people. Like, it would be crazy. Number 4, reduce stakes and tension. In a well-constructed story, characters' struggles and conflicts create stakes that keep readers invested. When a character is nearly invincible or possesses traits that can easily resolve any situation, the stakes are reduced. As a result, readers may not feel a sense of urgency or concern for the character's outcome, leading to disengagement from the story. Now, again, you can make your character completely invincible, but you have to affect the world around them. That's why, like, if I go back to Superman, they're like, kryptonite. And it's like, that's not right. The real interesting part about Superman is how human he really is, being an alien, and how, no pun intended, down to earth he is, and how much he cares about the people around him. That's his weakness, is his love and compassion for life. And when you challenge that love and compassion, how far is Superman willing to go to his limitations or lack of limitations? How far is he to go to break his code and do what he needs to save people? That's the interesting part about Superman. But again, if you talk about Wolverine or who's another character, if you look at like Frodo. I don't know if you know this, but Frodo lives, right? Frodo is spoiler. Frodo's interesting because of the journey he's going on. He goes from basically this, well, you know the story. He's, but I mean, he loses his finger. He loses his innocence. He loses all this just to do what he has to sacrifice what he can. And he's nearly invincible because he's the protagonist. The chances of Frodo dying, even though he's not Superman invincible, he is protagonist invincible. And he's most likely not going to die, which means he's nearly invincible in a story. But yet, he loses a lot. All this struggle, and he still comes out, victorious in a sense, but he also loses in a sense too. 5 breaks reader immersion. Mary Sue's and Gary Stus can disrupt the reader's immersion in the story world. When a character's actions and abilities feel unrealistic or unearned, it becomes challenging for readers to fully immerse themselves in the narrative. This lack of immersion prevents readers from being fully absorbed in the story's events and can lead to a sense of detachment because now they're just following things happening and they're not necessarily seeing anything of value or worth happening. Beating everybody in a room is not as interesting as the emotional response to that. Yes, they killed 6 people to save the girl or save the guy or save the city or save the whatever. But do those deaths have an impact on them? If not, why? Maybe the person they save or Demolition Man is a good example. I know I keep going. Movies are just easier for people to kind of, whatever. Demolition Man, spoiler. The building goes down and explodes. When he's walking with the little girl, and they're like, "Oh, you destroyed all that property for one little girl," and the girl's like, "Go F yourself," right? And even Sylvester Stallone's character is just like looks at him like, "What are you?" It's just things. Like, I saved the girl's life, and that's the point. It's like he's still being challenged. His heroics are being challenged, and he's like, "Listen, I don't care about that." But that behavior leads to him being imprisoned cryogenically. So I'm just saying, keep that in mind. All right, let's move on. Transformers, more than meets the eyes. Autobots and Decepticons. Transformers, transform and roll out. Transforming Mary Sue's and Gary Stus. I don't have ADHD. ADHD? I don't have that. I'm just crazy. Transforming Mary Sue's and Gary Stus, turning Mary Sue's and Gary Stus into compelling and well-rounded characters requires a strategic approach that adds depth and complexity. Here are 3 transformative techniques. 1. Infuse the flaws and vulnerabilities. First and foremost, if you have a character, look at them and say, all right, I know what their strengths are. So what's their counter weakness? What's their counter flaw? What's their counter vulnerability? If they're super strong, let's work on the internal. If they're internally strong, let's work on the external. Maybe there's a place in the middle, right? Maybe it's spiritual. Maybe they have a vulnerability or flaw for their spirituality. Maybe their spirituality is the strength, whatever it is. So consider weaknesses that stem from their personalities, their backgrounds, or experiences. That's another route. These flaws don't need to be grandiose, they could just be subtle imperfections. And these small imperfections can create large and wide-scale relatability and authenticity. And by showing their struggles and limitations, you allow readers to connect with them on a more personal level. For instance, a character who excels in combat might struggle with social interactions or harbor insecurities, which led to their extreme combat skills. They focused everything on just being capable. 2. Introduce relatable struggles. See, real character growth occurs when characters face challenges that force them to evolve. Again, a character has a position, you challenge that position. The character's capable in something, you challenge that capability. And then they have to work harder to they have to break the glass ceiling, right? The glass ceiling of their skill or their capability. So introduce obstacles that push your Mary Sue or Gary Stu out of their comfort zone and require them to confront their weaknesses. These struggles should be emotionally resonant. Resonate. Oh, blah, 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 blah. These struggles should be emotionally resonant and linked to their personal journeys. Through these challenges, characters can experience growth, learn valuable lessons, and develop new perspectives or their position changes. Because if you've watched my videos in any other videos, there are a lot of times I say a character has a position, you challenge that position, they make a choice. And that choice leads to results. And that results will either completely change, slightly change, or not change their position at all, which leads them back to the beginning of that. So now they have a new position. They have a position, and it's either completely changed, slightly changed, or not changed at all. And then you challenge that position again. And positions, by the way, are it could be as simple as they like the Giants over the Jets. They're dedicated to family. They believe excellence is through adversity. Okay? It's whatever their position is on something. And then you challenge that position. And then, of course, capability is just what they're literally capable of doing. All right, moving on. Oh, wait. I got to finish the last part. For example, going back to introducing relatable. For example, a character who has been privileged their entire life might face adversity that humbles them and encourages empathy. All right, continuing. 3. Focus on consequences and development. For Mary Sue and Gary Stews, the lack of consequences for their actions can weaken the story's impact. Going back to Demolition Man, we see a pattern of success and damage, and him not getting having any. By the way, a consequence could be good or bad, but in this situation, he saves a little girl. He stops people. He gets people arrested, but he's causing damage, and ultimately, the Demolition Man has consequence for his behavior, and he's in prison. But you want to ensure that their choices have realistic and meaningful repercussions that affect not only them, but also the world around them. That includes the people, because they're part of his world, their world. These consequences can lead to character development and self-discovery. As they navigate the aftermath of their decisions, characters should grapple with moral dilemmas, internal conflicts, and changes in their relationships with other characters. Okay, final thought. Okay, so you got to remember that strength in characters doesn't come from invincibility, but from their ability to evolve through challenges. While an unstoppable character can serve a purpose, it's their depth, choices, and responses that truly define them. True character development is the journey of unveiling who they are at the core. Tear that onion apart. Embrace the lessons learned today and apply them to your writing, because your characters will thank you for giving them a chance to shine through their growth and authenticity. Next video in this series, we'll focus on character agency, what it is and how to create it. We'll learn why character agency is a pivotal aspect of dynamic storytelling, and hopefully together we gain some insight on how it can enrich your narrative experience. By the way, I have a question. Have you ever encountered a Mary Sue or Gary Stu in a story you've read or written? How did it impact your engagement with the narrative? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you haven't done so already and you've been watching and you're like, whoa, I'm loving this, please subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out. And of course, as always, keep developing the right mindset. Woohoo! I'll see you next time. Bye.